Hello, Motivators family. This is Marlene Motivates, and I am your life coach. And welcome to another financial podcast episode. And I have my wonderful co host, Lisa J. Stocks. Lisa, welcome and introduce yourself to anybody who is new.
Hey Marlene, thanks for having me on. I am Lisa J. Stocks. I am a financial YouTuber. Been here on YouTube for the last a little over 3 years, and I am just sharing my journey when it comes to investing, saving, staying out of debt, making sure that your credit score is on point. So, those are the type of things that I am sharing on my channel because it's not just about earning money. It's about maximizing it and building true wealth. And uh, just stop by my channel to find out more if those are some things that you want to incorporate into your financial life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, you guys know how I do it. I'm going to start with the channel song. I will be right back. Got a spark inside, a passion so true. Marley motivates, it's the right move for you. Our purpose is clear, our hearts are guiding light to help you reach higher ground so everything is bright. It's encouragement, support from her soul to yours for the wellness of mind, body and spirit, so you can open new doors through pop-up license. Recreational vibes to regular videos. Marlene is always there for you. Okay, welcome everybody to the show. We have Eunice in the chat. Hi, Eunice. Hi, Marlene and guests. I hope all is well. Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday. So we're going to get started on today's topic. Today, motivators, we are talking about money draining habits to avoid. And we all know how important it is for us to be a good steward of the money that we have. And one of the things that we can do in order to not only have money, but also to grow it is making sure we're looking for those things that are draining, straining, and blocking us from having more or having enough to be able to take care of ourselves and our families. Lisa, first thoughts?
You said, I'm sorry, Marlene, you said things that are draining from our families.
Yes, yes.
Um, Marlene, I need you to repeat the question. I am so
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay. It's no problem. I was just saying that it's so important for us to make sure we're not doing things that are draining and straining our budget in order for us to be able to have more in the future.
Yes, yes. I hear what you're saying. Okay. So, yeah, I think that we don't even realize that we're doing it because we just grew up with that mindset of you earn and you spend and you earn and you spend, and we're not realizing that we're not spending on the right things, that we're basically letting our money just be devalued. We're not being on track to make more money. And so I think it's all about mindset, of not even realizing what you can accomplish if you change the way that you're going about it, um, and not creating an atmosphere, not creating a situation where all of the money is going to the car payment and the rent and the buying clothes and the eating out, and leaving yourself waiting for payday.
Yes. That's exactly right. So let's get right into the topic. The first point that I had was I'm going to be sharing 8 points and habits. Of course, there's so many more than this. This is just a short list of some things that I found.
and I feel like it's very useful for us to really think about it. The first one is unused subscriptions and memberships. Now, I have to say, everybody, I thought I was doing really good with the unused subscriptions and memberships. And when I actually went and looked, there were some memberships that I had, signed up for that I wasn't really using. And that's one of the things where could we go and do a simple check just to make sure everything that we're paying for we're actually using.
Mhm, mhm. That's one that I have definitely mentioned recently and I have dug into in my own personal finances. And it's not necessarily getting rid of everything, but like the way you put it, unused is one thing. They can be let go. But there's also a lot of work that you can do to revise. Potentially, like if your in your gym membership is that you can go to multiple locations and you could perhaps go to a certain fitness class? Are you taking advantage of all of those things? Maybe you have guest privileges. Is there a lower tier that you can move to? If you have cable in your home, do you need boxes in multiple rooms? And because all those things come with a charge. So it's not just about, to me, if you want to, I don't want to deprive you of things, but can you take a look at everything that you're paying a subscription for and really get into the details and say, hey, do I need this on my phone plan? Do I need this on my Wi-Fi or my cable plan, my gym membership, what all the subscriptions, comb through them. Find out if there is a lower tier that potentially you can take advantage. Even the Netflix, are you willing to watch some commercials? Do you need to have Amazon Prime? All these things will add up if you're really, in that place where you're living paycheck to paycheck. We have to go deep and go harder, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely. So, in this age of streaming services, monthly memberships, and revolving subscription charges, it really can sneak up into our money that's coming out, and it's easy for us to get away. A 20 here, a 50 there. We get to a point where we can't even remember where our spare cash went. So, doing this like an evaluation, looking for holes in our budget and putting a plug into these subscriptions and membership money drains. As Lisa mentioned, do you really need all of those extra things? Or are there some things that maybe you could go to a lower tier? Or for me, it was making sure that the memberships that I have, I'm maximizing it to the fullest potential, because I know there are some streaming services that you can get like a package, not just paying for them individually, but can you bundle them? That's another thing. Instead of paying extra, and like Lisa said, can you tolerate the ads? That will be less expensive for you. It's just looking for ways that we can maximize our money. And like I said, the unused subscriptions, because I know sometimes how like you sign up for something for a trial and you don't even realize you're still paying for that. You didn't go back and cut that off. So there are some times that money is coming out of your account that you don't even realize. It's just going and checking and rechecking and making sure that you are not wasting, especially in this age of everything is expensive. So many people are going through a lot when it comes to financially, like things are expensive, bills are expensive, life is expensive. So if there's something that we can do in order to slow down those draining things, then that's what we should do.
And another thing that someone mentioned to me, two of my channel members are, one is taking advantage of this. One shared it with me. I told her I would look into it, and I still haven't done it. And it's by getting your library card and tapping into all of those features that are available there so you can get those ebooks, you can get access to more of those free streaming services. Yes, you have Tubi, but there are others that you may not be aware of that can probably, if you have, grandchildren or younger people in your household, give some of that quality, educational content that I don't think we have that much of. I grew up watching Sesame Street. Yeah, I was watching puppets and things like that. But the things that a lot of kids are being exposed to today, it's created by AI. I don't know that they're giving those wholesome values that we got in our shows back then. But maybe by tapping into it, you have to do your own research and take a look at these things for yourself. But because it's connected to the library, they might be having some of those good, quality educational things for our kids.
Right, exactly, Lisa. And now that you mentioned the library, something that I was not aware of was in our area, the libraries give away free passes to museums. And for me, that was something really great because they will give 3 to 4 tickets per every time you go. And if a ticket is costing 40 $20, maybe sometimes up to 30, and you're getting 4 passes, that really can be a savings for your budget that you're able to enjoy yourself, but at zero cost. And I love zero. I love free.
Yes, yes. And if you take the time to look it up, it's most likely not going to be on a prime time on a Saturday afternoon. But if you can go in an, kind of an off time, do your research and take a look. And, and make sure that you're checking what could be tied into, for example, if you have a BJ's membership or something like that, the benefits that you might have to have those little perks of a free day to go into the museum or to the zoo. Because, until you look, sometimes you don't realize. And like I said, it might not be on a Saturday, but if you can make time, then, take advantage of all these things. And then use the money that you're saving for something more beneficial in your budget.
Yes. I think that's a very valid point. We really have to look and see how we can maximize stretch because I don't know about you guys, but I am stretching my money, seeing how I can save in all aspects when it comes to the food that I'm getting, making sure I'm not getting too much that I'm wasting, and making sure I'm using all of the services that I need to, using all of those, you know, um, splitting up my meat, making sure I'm not wasting things. Like before, I used to get the really big water bottles, and in my family, there'll be 3 or 4 half-used water bottles. So I have now switched to the mini bottles, so nothing wastes.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things. It's like looking for, okay, what is your family actually doing? And you may not always like it, but for me now, I don't have to throw away water bottles because who wants to drink after someone else's water? So it's just one thing, savings for me, that I switched to the smaller bottles, and that was a savings for me and my family.
Yeah.
So let's go to number 2. And this is one that I think is important, especially being on social media, to be very leery, very mindful of following the trends, buying the latest things that you want, or what is it, the things that your eyes see that you feel like you have to get, but you really don't need. And that's something, it's like, I don't know, I kind of convince myself sometimes that I need something because I see somebody else with it, and that's not good. Keeping up with the trends, it's a never-ending pursuit, and it will leave you unsatisfied and perpetually cash poor. So we have to really be careful of those high cost items, especially things like home improvement, because you will be paying for them long after they fall out of fashion.
Mhm. Hmm. Yeah, I know. Before I bought my first house, I wanted to leave where I was at so badly. I was in a place where I was thinking about a $1 purchase. I was putting thought into it. If I remember one day I wasn't done doing what I was doing. I was out. I had my daughter and my little sister with me, and we had been out for a while, and I could see they were getting restless. And I was like, oh, well, everything else I had to do today, the errands and running around, it's over, because I was not going to go and buy them takeout food and start with all this spending on the road. I said, that's it. I'm shutting it down. We're going home, and they're going to have to wait for me to cook. And, sometimes it takes you to get to a breaking point that you start to evaluate grabbing that drink at the gas station, letting your car idle, just unnecessarily with these gas prices right now. Yeah, I'm trying to turn off my car and get out and go do what I have to do, not be out here sitting and, um, just because I want to listen to the radio or something. I got to figure something else out. I'm thinking sometimes I get to that point and I like to stay in that place where I'm thinking about the small things, because, you might not be able I'm not one of those people that are on that show that know how to extreme cheapskate. I'm not that. I don't know how much sense it costs, how many times I flushed the toilet a day. I've seen some people that knew some crazy things. I can't go that deep, but I know that everything that I do, there is a cost to it. The running the water, the letting the car, idle. And so I like to be in a place where I'm just being mindful, because it all will help to impact my bills at the end of the week or the month when I'm going to pay them.
Exactly, exactly. Okay. Number three, this is another money draining habit, is being under or over insured. Now, everybody's situation is going to be different, but it's really evaluating what do you honestly need, what can you afford, and not doing more, because it's like sometimes when you talk to those salesmen, they'll make you feel like you need all of these extra bells and whistles, but do you really need it? It's about reading the fine print, gaining the knowledge, and seeing what's best for you and your family. Not being properly insured can devastate you financially in the event of a fire, a car accident, a medical emergency, or other adverse event. But on the flip side, paying for redundant or unnecessary insurance coverage can also drain your finances. So, for example, you travel with you use your travel credit card, and it may provide some travel insurance coverage, and your auto insurance may cover the rental car. So, do you really need to do both? Those are some of those things that you think about being overinsured or underinsured. Just paying attention to those simple drains. You just have to be aware. Okay, what are all the services provided by this and this company?
That's a hard one, because you don't know how to create the balance that is going to be correct. You don't want to overspend now, but then you don't want to be in a place where you have medical bills or you have car repairs or something and you can't handle it. But, I think it's just best to be as prepared as possible on what we know today. Social Security, Medicare, all these things are always changing. So I would say just be mindful of it, take a look, and do make a reasonable assessment, and be on track to have a level of safety for yourself, so that you're not running yourself into unnecessary debt.
Yeah, that's so vital. Okay, number four, wasting energy, and this is one of those things that, especially if you are a homeowner, or you're paying a mortgage, something like that, where it's vital wasting the energy, making sure you don't have windows that leak, or you're not like you have an older appliance that is not saving you energy. When those things come outdated, it really does pump up your bills when it's not right in the energy. It's a thing on your appliances that says energy wise, and it tells you what you're getting with the kilowatt hours and all that, without getting into all of that stuff. But it's very important to know your appliances and how long you've had it, and it's best to upgrade than to have something that's you're way overspending if you would just replace it. So those are some of those things that I think about when it comes to that. And asking yourself this question: is my money silently slipping away through drafty doors and windows and a poorly insulated attic? Hmm. That's a good question for probing. And air leaks, inadequate insulation, and overheating or overcooling your house are also a waste of energy and money. But I live in Florida, guys. I have to apply this to reality. Yes, maybe putting your AC on 74 is wasting energy, overconsumption. But when I get hot, I cannot do 78. That's what they recommend from my energy company, but I can't do 78. That's too hot for me. But you have to apply it to your situation and know, okay, is it too cold in here, or is it, when it was winter time or fall, was it too hot? Those are some of those things.
Um, Tying this back to, finance and the things that I'm always talking about, I think that you really need to do like a portfolio audit, just like you audit around your house. You don't forget about your money, those money leaks. What is the expense ratio on your portfolios that you have through your job? What is the performance? You have to set a standard, and you have to get out there and push for yourself and advocate for yourself. Now, I know that you're not going to feel that the same way that you, like with Marlene's examples. If you're too hot or too cold inside of your home, you're ready to jump up and figure out and get that, sorted out. But don't don't let don't be working for a company for 10 years and not be feeling like that's a priority for you to take a look and have a handle of your account. And I like what I was saying when I was out, shopping with my family, and said, let me get home before I'm starting to spend money on the road. Another thing I think you can do in order to not waste money and have a money leak is by making sure that you're focusing on quality. And sometimes you think it's convenient to just grab some toothpaste at the Dollar Tree or something like that. But when you think about the ounces that you're getting, when you think about the sizing, you realize that you would be better off of going to Walmart and getting. I know some people may not have a car or something like that. There's different obstacles that we face, but you have to realize of quality versus what you might think is a good buy when it comes to different things like that. Those packages are small. You might think it's only $1.50 or $1.75. But when you think about it down to the ounces, down to what you would get at a more of a mainstream store, an Aldi or a Walmart, or, something that is cost efficient, you're going to make your money go more by doing that.
Yes, I do agree with you. When I was growing up, I wouldn't say my mom was like Chris's dad on Everybody Hates Chris, like down to the penny. But having a lot of children, it was 10 of us. So, she had to maximize the money. So it was something like that. And it used to get on my nerves like, oh, make sure you turn that light off and put that in, and don't do that, and unplug that if you're finished using it. But all of those little simple things, it does add up. all those small little things about 10 cents here, 50 cents here at the end of a month, it really does add up. So I can appreciate it now that I'm an adult, and I laugh because I find myself saying the same thing to my family: turn that off, unplug that, so that you're not wasting. Okay.
Well, yeah, when I'm at the supermarket, especially when I'm by myself or I'm really, I have the time, I find myself when I go to the eggs, I'm looking at the per dozen, I'm looking at the breakdown. I'm looking at and when I get to the meat section, I'm looking at the per pound uh breakdown, the rice, the anything, the way that if I get the tuna fish, if I buy the tuna fish cans individually as opposed to the 4-pack together, I'm looking at the cost difference to make sure that I'm picking up the best deal for myself.
Yes, exactly. And yes, Eunice, we do become like our parents in that way. What I've learned is to take the good and leave behind the bad, and apply that to my life in that way. Rilla says, I know some folks who would frame a penny on the wall. Yes, there's all sorts of folks out there. So, number 5, paying too much in interest. And this is not my lane about interest and credit cards and things like that. But, just make sure that you're looking at the interest rates and making sure that you're getting the best rate possible. There's so many offers out there. And you can also ask your credit card company if you can have a lower interest rate. That's something that I didn't know that I could do because I'm not really in the credit card thing, but the credit cards that I do have, I do ask for a competitive rate. Is this the best rate that I can get? And
Mhm,
if it's not, they're not going to willing to work with me. It's okay. I can move on and get a different one.
mhm. No matter what it is, I'm of the mindset of, ask. If they say no, they say no. I'm not going to cry about it. Whether it's XM radio, my cable provider, my cell phone provider, um, whoever it is, that it's happened to me. They find someone in some retention department and transfer you to them, and often are willing to give you some special promotion that you had no idea about, even if it's for 6 months. Like I
Mhm.
said before, that 6 months might give you time to further research a different provider. But a lot of times with the things that I just mentioned, those type of services, just ask. If they say no, they say no, but you've made an effort to improve your finances.
Yeah, that's the important part is that if you what is the saying? A closed mouth won't get fed.
Mhm.
So you gotta ask for what you want. Okay. The next point I think we're on number 6 is too many unhealthy habits. Now, I'm not here to browbeat you and wag my finger at you or judge you or any of those things, but there's a lot of habits that we have that aren't serving our physical and our mental health and also our finances. And we have to really look at those things because it takes a toll on us, and eventually it's going to show up with us suffering financial loss or not meeting our goals that we want to financially. And even if it's no immediate monetary cost, harmful health habits can hike up on your healthcare costs down the road. So, I had to even look at myself honestly and be like, okay, Marlene, you need to get a control of this cookie habit because I am definitely a cookie monster. And I had to I had to scale back because I was like, I don't want to get into where I could be pre-diabetic or some other things. Maybe your thing is not sugar, maybe your thing is salt. This is not medical advice. I'm not browbeating anybody. I'm just saying I want for all of us to make sure that we are, widening our options. While you can, throw in a vegetable, throw in some fruit. Try to pull back on the bread and the pasta and the rice if you can, if it's within your dietary means. But, try to do a little bit better now, because I'll tell you, there's no expenses like being in the hospital or having to go to all different sorts of medical things because you didn't take care of your physical body.
Mhm. I think I heard Tasharia talking about this recently, and it's to me, it's not just the cost savings, and I hope I'm not going too deep on this, but when you by making your coffee and making your food at home, you're also most likely improving the quality. You know what's in it. You know the you're able to better have an understanding of the sodium and all those different things. Because when you go to these fast food places, and my sister, this was some years ago, but she was working at a fast food place. And this is after our mom had suffered from congestive heart failure, and her coworker was not making the food to spec. They probably were seasoning it the way that they wanted to season, and she, because of what we were going through in our personal life, she got upset with her coworker and said, you're supposed to measure this, and you're supposed to, because she knew that there could be a customer coming in that is going by the the actual specs of how something should be prepared. And even something as small as a coffee, by me doing it at home, I know how much sweetener, I know what type of creamer. There's no accidents, there's no mix up. I made it, I know what's in it, and I know that I'm able it's twofold. I'm saving money, and I'm knowing what health wise, what calorie wise I've created for myself.
Right. And another additional thing is, I'm not trying to churn anybody's stomach, but sometimes it's not always the most hygienic atmosphere in getting takeout. It's just something to think about. Because I know I got into that trap for a long time. Oh, I worked all day. I'm so tired. I'll just pick up. And then you get into that trap where then you don't want to do it anymore. Oh, I'll just pick up all the time. And then you'll find out, wow, my budget is really suffering because of convenience. So, just something to think about. And I want to read this comment by Eunice. Yes, health is wealth. If you're not well, you're not going to be able to work or to run a business. We want to have a quality of life. And yes, we do. I want to read this point before I move on to the next one. Trade in unhealthy habits and the associated money spent on them to develop new healthy interests and work towards long term health and financial goals. So, reduce your waistline and your grocery bills by buying smaller but leaner cuts of meat, buying produce in season when it's freshest and least expensive, and bringing your lunch to work a few days a week to skip the sugar and the fattening and everything else. So it's just some benefits, just something to think about. I feel like that was a good money gain tip. Okay. Any thoughts before I move on, Lisa?
No, let's move on to the next point.
Okay. Okay. So the next point, we are on number 7, and that is money drain number 7, not planning ahead. And we touched on this a little bit, but if you've ever paid a premium for a book at the airport, or a plastic water bottle at a sporting event, or just doing some things because of convenience, one of those money gaining things, a money gain and not a money drain, is to anticipate the future by planning ahead, carrying a water bottle, bringing your snacks. If you have children or other people that you're around and you know they will be hungry around a certain time, pack a little, uh, bring some snacks and some drinks so that you will not have to drive through to get those things or have them complaining about it all the way home. It's just one of those money gaining tips. And anticipate the future needs by flipping ahead on your calendar for upcoming celebrations and outings and travel, and determine any items that should be purchased in advance, like clothing, seasonal items, and when retailers have clearance sales or things like that. Always have snacks and water on hand to avoid overpaying for those items.
Mhm. And yeah, nowadays, like things have changed. There's so much social media. And so you might feel like I need to buy more clothes. I took a picture in this one already. And, I think it's a matter of I like you a few weeks ago, you shared your a purple romper that you had gotten thrifted. And I think like finding things like that, solid colors that you can then, put a scarf, put a different accessory, just try to mix it up. And buying those basic items when they're on sale. There's so many different little things that you can do. You don't have to wait until you actually need it. And of course, like Marlene was touching on, being prepared. There's no reason. Nothing sneaks up on us. Guys, Mother's Day is coming up next month. Easter, Valentine's Day, Christmas, whoever, graduations. Don't act like these things sneak up on you and you didn't have time to um, do some price checking, order things from the best provider and get them here. Now, all of a sudden, we need to pay for expedited shipping and all, things like that. Don't pretend like these things are sneaking up on you. They're not. It's just a matter of staying on top of it, putting them on your calendar. What do you think, Marlene?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, like, I try my best to anticipate things. I know this is probably old school, it sounds old fashioned. People, my friends make fun of me all the time, but anytime I go to the store, I'm always buying cards in advance because things can come up and maybe you got to go somewhere and you need to bring a sympathy card, you need this card or that card. I always keep a box full of all different sorts of cards so I don't have to buy them, especially if I see them when they go on sale. I'll save it for next year. It's
Mhm.
things like that, anticipating. And I know I'm going to need cards. I know I'm going to need gift boxes and labels and whatever it is that, when you give as gifts. So when I see those things like baskets on sale and etc., I buy them in anticipation of me doing something. I'm a DIY person. I give DIY gifts to my friends and family, and I know that I'm going to use those things. So if I see it on sale, I'm going to buy it so that later on I won't have to rush out. I can just take whatever it is and I put it to the side until I fill that basket up and it's ready to go. It's about anticipating, knowing what you need to do, and then so you don't panic and overspend at the last minute.
Yeah, I used to keep things in my house when my daughters were growing up, my kids growing up. Like, there's certain, I mean, the clothes, I would try to do it as much as I can up until they get a certain age and they, they talk back and have different opinions. But
Yeah,
there's certain things like I would go to certain stores, Old Navy, Walmart. There's some stores that have good clearance at times. And there's no
yeah,
reason why, even if it's two sizes too big for them, socks, pajamas, undies, different things. I'm going to buy it and I'm going to know where I put them. And when, it's time to change out some clothes, throw away some things, I'm going to shop my house. I know what I bought. I know what I'm prepared for. And, we know it's summertime. We haven't even gotten to summertime. It's springtime, but just having that mindset of being prepared, when it comes time for back to school, you might be able to have some things done ahead of time, even if it's gift cards that you're able to put aside now. If you have some extra money, just work to be prepared and not surprised.
yeah. I like that, Lisa. Be prepared and not surprised. Okay, we're here at the final point, number 8. Another money drain is to avoid impulse buys from online flash sales or at the checkout line, those candies and other stuff that they try to get us to spend our money at the last minute and things like that. It says the average American spends $151 per month on impulse buys. That's more than $1,800 per year. When I read that, I was like, yikes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't realize it. That's what even just sitting down, taking a good look at 2 months of your budget in detail, can show you. Because I'm not saying that you have to give up the things, but by buying them in bulk and being more prepared, grabbing that bag of almonds at the store as opposed to getting a larger container at Costco and then maybe having to divide it up in your own little Tupperware container or baggie. Yeah, that takes more work, a little preparation, but the cost savings, the buying the energy drinks one at a time as opposed to buying a case. The same thing you were talking about with the water. Like, do you have access to a water filter? Do you have a good sturdy container that you can put your water in? But yeah, just realizing that all those little things matter. And I remember one of the first lives that I was on. I'm not sure if you might have been there. I'm sure Ms. V was probably on it. This is years ago, and someone was in the chat and kind of making fun of me when I was talking about dollar cost averaging, being able to invest small amounts of money, $5, $10, and they're like, "What does that do?" And I just shared one of my portfolios, and I'm not building into it anymore. I'm just holding it, but the value of it is a little over $12,000, and that was built $10 at a time. So I'm not saying make a cut, find something in your budget for $5 and it's going to become something spectacular. But if you can find a money leak that's $5 on a daily basis and then allocate it to something more beneficial and let years pass of being consistent with it, it really can be something impactful.
Yes. Yes, I'm in agreement. I'm going to read this last thought and then we'll come to the end. A money gain. Curb impulse buys by limiting your trips to the store and reducing time spent browsing on online retailers. Avoid shopping when you feel tired, hungry, stressed, and more prone to give into impulse buys. As an extra barrier to online splurges, delete auto saved credit card information so it must be manually typed in every single time you make a purchase, perhaps 24 or 48 hours to see if you still want them. Put it in there. It's like buy and hold. So just another thought. Lisa, any final thoughts on money draining tips?
Well, I think we should take it seriously. And I think by sitting down and evaluating your budget, you might see some things in there that you don't realize. And, I think you should just try to, most likely, whether it's your health or your finances, I very rarely talk to someone that they think everything is perfect. Like, oh, my cholesterol, my weight, my skin, oh, my portfolio's on track to grow to, whatever amount. I don't run into anyone who everything is perfect, And so because it's not, I think we need to take the time to see what you can do, even if it is a very small change, make it, because we have to go at these things one step at a time. And so I'm going to cheer you on. I'm not going to tell you that what that step that you're making is too small. It's something. and something is better than nothing.
Yes. Yeah. And I will always encourage everybody to, do what you can for where you're at. I'm always going to encourage, for you to know where those leaks are, where you're wasting, where you're over insuring, where you can do better and improve. So, you can have that money for those important things like making sure your bills are paid on time and making sure you keep your credit score up and have that even a small amount for your investing or for your portfolio and whatever it is that you're trying to do. But when we know where the money is being drained, we can put it where it needs to go for our benefit. So I want to thank you so much, Lisa, for joining me as my co-host, and everybody who is in the chat. Thank you to the mods, my channel members, anybody who's watching on the replay. Please go by and check out Lisa J. Stock's channel. Lisa, do you have an upcoming video or live stream?
No video scheduled yet, but I'm always working on things. Have that notification bell on. But I am usually live on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come check me out.
Awesome. So thank you guys for tuning into the Financial Podcast. In 2 weeks, it will be over at Lisa's channel in 2 more weeks. Make sure you turn on your notification. Go check out her content. And I appreciate everybody for your support here. I am Marlene Motivates, your life coach. And I believe that when you are motivated, inspired, and you shift your mindset, you can be your best self. Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.